Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got a special video for you. We're going to be talking about the top 10 EDC flashlights. All right, we're going to be talking about flashlights. We've done a little bit of stuff here and there. We've done some EDC knives. We've done a top 5 video here at Going Gear in Smyrna, Georgia, where we talked about 5 EDC combos that involve like flashlight, knife, and gun combo. We thought it would be fun to break down some of the most commonly available flashlights, for EDC, nice and compact size, varying price ranges. Marshall here at Going Gear deals in this stuff quite a bit on a regular basis, so we thought that we would enlist his help to make this particular video. When it comes to lights, I know that customers' needs definitely, go into a wide variety of different things, especially for an EDC standpoint and everything like that. But a lot of these choices are ones that not only you as a person, you like, just individually for yourself, but then also some that maybe your customers, are kind of top picks for them and things that they buy a lot of. So let's go over a couple of them and kind of see where we wind up.
Sure. Assuming that we've already uploaded the knife video, we're going to do the same kind of thing that you saw in the knife video, where we try to cover some different price ranges, some different use cases. These aren't necessarily our top 10 selling flashlights. They cover a good variety of EDC. And when we say EDC, we're going to go ahead and say that's the stuff that most people are comfortable with putting in their pocket. So there's going to be a lot of pocket clip stuff, nothing with an overly large head, nothing super long, nothing super heavy or anything like that. So we're going to top out kind of in this size range with things that you can slide into your pocket pretty easily.
So the spirit of this video, to kind of mirror one of the videos that we've done already, which would involve knives, I'm going to have to try to guess the sort of, let's just say, retail price of the flashlight. So this is kind of a challenge to me to kind of see if the price lines up with the quality I'm seeing, and I'm going to learn a little bit, as you guys are going to learn a little bit as we go in this particular video. So we're going to learn together. Marshall's going to school us, and I have to see if I can guess the value of these flashlights. So it's kind of like, price is wrong, Eric. That's what we're playing.
You did pretty well with the knives.
I did okay, all right.
Pretty well.
Not too bad. All right. So
got a B.
Yeah, it is what it is. So let's start out with flashlight number 1.
Sure. So we say top 10. We've got more than 10 up here. These are kind of grouped into families. So like the same light from a company in different battery sizes. So just keep that in mind. So this first one that we have here.
It's more than 10.
Yeah, it's more than 10. It's like 30. But so the first one that we have here is the Olight i3E. And this is one, if somebody's coming in, they're looking for a gift, they're looking for something super simple for themselves, they're looking for something inexpensive. The black version comes with a battery, single AAA, one single output, 90 lumens, which is solid output for a AAA light. And they're inexpensive. They have some other colors, which jacks the price up like a couple bucks. And then they have a silver one, where the output on it's 120 lumens. So single AAA light, just one single mode on it. So we've got those two. And then I know you're a big fan of things with switches on them. So we also have the Foursevens Preon P1, which is a similar light, but you add a switch on the end. So if you like having that switch, you like having the switch on the end, then you also add in some other outputs.
Smart.
Yeah. So if you like the little bit more variability in there in terms of the output, you like the switch, you like that big substantial pocket clip, then the Preon P1 is a good option compared to the i3E.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Neanderthal. And when it comes to fine motor skills, if there's a situation where I'm going to pull out a knife, chances are I probably want some sort of a switch on the back, because that is the first thing I'm absolutely going to do, is try to press the back of that flashlight. Some of the lights we have here obviously don't have those types of switches. That's perfectly fine. It is a preference type thing, but we'll get into that as we go. I would imagine, like you mentioned, inexpensive. I mean, when I hear like comes with a battery, that tells me it's probably a little bit on the lower side in terms of price. I don't know, I would imagine probably $20 to $30 for a little light like that.
$10 on the black one. The silver one I think is 13. And then the colors, like you can get blue and red and stuff like that. I think they're $12. And then the P1 is 40. So you got some more advanced circuitry in there, and you got the switch and stuff like that.
So I guess having the different settings and modes, having the ability to dim, and then obviously the switch probably adds a bit of cost.
Adds some complexity, adds some cost.
All right. So I was somewhat close.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too bad on the first try. So I don't know. We'll see. So moving on to number 2.
So the next one we have in here is some of our most popular keychain lights. This is a relatively new company. I saw them pop up and they contacted us, and as a business owner, you get so many people contacting you. I'm sure you get the same thing for people trying to review stuff. And normally it's just, you know, I pretty much ignore it, put it in the spam folder, because there's just such a huge volume. With these, I was like, yes, I absolutely want your stuff. Please send me some samples. I'll get an order in right away. So this is the MecArmy IllumineX, and this one actually took off my keychain. It's one of my personal EDCs. This is the copper version. And what it is, it's a two-stage light, so you got two different outputs on it. I think it tops out around 120 lumens or somewhere around there.
Nice.
But really compact little light, has a really great attachment system on there, so this really substantial piece that's machined into the tail cap. So it's not some piece of plastic that's epoxied on there.
You're not going to break it off.
Right, you're not going to break it off. But the really nice feature about this is like all of that is alone cool and enough for a flashlight. These things actually have built-in micro USB charging. So come on, like this tiny little thing, you've got a micro USB port there. Just super cool little lights. You know, when somebody comes in and they're looking for a gift for somebody else, we point them to this.
Sure.
When they're looking for a light for themselves, we point them to this.
I'll tell you what, I have to admit that the kind of old school person in me appreciates something like that's made out of copper because the way it ages. You know, those like old school, you know, how many people have seen like old pennies where they just have that awesome look to them?
Yeah.
So that's something that's going to age really interesting, and it's going to get some nice kind of patina to it. I know looks don't matter, but in this case, you know, why not? It's kind of neat. You know, brass and things that tarnish, they kind of make kind of a cool look to them.
And they have brass, they have titanium, they have aluminum, they have stainless steel, they have one that looks like a bullet. I mean, they just have cool different variations on it. So you've got a price range on these where the internals are the same, but you get a bunch of different materials.
Sure, and I would imagine that those casings obviously going to make the prices kind of change around, fluctuate a little bit, because obviously more expensive materials. I would imagine on the entry side, maybe $15. On the top end, maybe $50.
They start at 25 and go up to 50.
Okay, so I was a little bit wrong on the low end, but
well, you add in the built-in charging and stuff like that. I mean, you've got some kind of complicated internals, so that bumps it up a little bit.
And plus, in that compact of a package, you start adding the micro USB charging to a tiny little thing like that. Right. I would imagine it has to be made just right.
It's hard to make complicated things small.
Yep. Well, you know, it's so crazy when you start getting into the technology and what it takes to make it tinier and tinier. I mean, think about how flashlights have evolved. Just the technology we have today in an EDC light, you know, if you had to take that technology and compare it to something that was available 30 years ago, it wasn't. Like,
it didn't exist.
It's very new, you know. So moving on to option number 3, door 3.
So the next one that we have is another light from MecArmy. This is the SGN-3. So this is a really interesting light. A lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, that's some plastic body, but this is actually a metal body. So you've got a metal body on here, and it still has the micro USB charging. So you've got the micro USB port there on the side with a little rubber cover over it. So you still have the dust protection and the water protection and all that.
Sure.
This thing actually has 3 LEDs in it with 3 different colors. So you have a white LED, you have a red LED, and then you have an ultraviolet. I don't know if the camera's picking that up at all, but there's an ultraviolet, so you can, check for fluids and look for scorpions and do all that kind of stuff.
Neat.
In a tiny light with micro USB charging built in.
Interesting.
Yeah, they came out with these. These were their first lights that we picked up anyway, and these were super popular, and they came out with these, and these were also super popular.
And both of those are something you can just throw on a keychain or whatever.
Right. They're compact. You don't really notice them. This is probably on the upper end of what I personally would put on a keychain, but absolutely slide it in your pocket or your pack. And
now you mean in terms of size?
In terms of size.
Okay,
exactly.
Size. I got you. I would say based on what I learned about the other one, you mentioned the micro USB charging, so I would say price-wise probably at least like $40 to $50 on something like that.
$43 on that one.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Cool.
And one thing
you're definitely getting into kind of, for a keychain light, you're kind of getting into something that, most people, when you think like $40, $50, I mean, I don't know, at least from my perspective, you're thinking like entry level pocket light.
Right.
At that point.
And you can absolutely get, if you want a keychain light with the micro USB and all that, Nitecore. Nitecore has a product called the Tube. But then you're getting a plastic body, you're not getting the advanced features, you're not getting the higher output. So, I mean, there's some compromises, but you can absolutely get the lower price point.
I mean, to some degree, you get what you pay for.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so that was door number 3. Let's open door number 4.
So here we have a couple of the Surefire lights. So these are the new Surefire Titan lights. These are AAA lights, and they're using some interesting technology in here. So they have some different outputs in them, but the Titan Plus, so this one is a brass body that I think is electroless nickel, I want to say, that's the coating on it. And it comes with this really interesting attachment point for your keychain. You've got a pocket clip on it. This is a AAA light, and with the battery that comes with it, it tops out at 300 lumens.
Oh, wow.
So it's AAA keychain pocket light.
One AAA light.
One AAA.
Or battery, rather.
Yeah, it's topping out at 300 lumens. So you can get some serious output out of this thing. And then you get the Made in America, lifetime warranty, great customer service, great warranty, all that stuff that comes with buying a Surefire product.
So you start talking like, you know, the warranty, American made, I mean, good quality light, I mean, obviously some really cool technology and something like that. I would imagine just knowing that, I mean, I've bought a few Surefires here and there. I know they're not inexpensive. I would say a light like that, probably at least $100.
So 100 on the Titan Plus, and I think 60 on the black one.
Okay, so not bad. And I guess that's the coatings and everything that's on the Titan Plus. That,
right, the brass body.
Yeah, adds a little bit of cost.
A little bit more expensive materials. And
well, cool though. I mean, that's still not bad though, because I know that there's some lights that Surefire previously has offered that have like the rear switches on them, like the. Oh, I'm trying to think. What is the name of that little cheap light? Yeah, like the little backups and all. And some of those lights are like $100 price range.
Yeah.
So
well,
you're getting
the backup.
You're not the backup, but what the Defender,
like the G2X.
Like the little Defenders, like the plastic lights.
The G2X and 6PX.
Yeah, you can pick those up for around the same price. So it's interesting to see that for that price point, you're getting a compact light. Granted, it's not going to have the output of like a larger light, but it seems like it's going more towards the compact yet powerful. Right. Like that's really where that market's kind of going. So that's cool.
And what's more important to you? Do you want the size or do you want the output? Do you want the runtime? All of these are compromises in something.
Again, and EDC in itself as a subject matter is sort of a rolling compromise because, EDC, the spirit of that is carrying it every day. And if it's a light that you're not willing to carry every day, then it's not a good EDC light. Now, but that need is different for every single person, and that's why we have such a wide range of different lights. So moving on to door number 5.
Yeah, we were talking about before we started this video is narrowing all this down, and it was really hard for me to choose like my favorites and choose a wide variety of brands and prices and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, on the wall over there we have 1,000 different flashlights, so
there's so much to choose from. And so many different needs. That's the thing. Like the EDC needs of a street cop might be different than the EDC needs of a guy who's just walking the dog every night and just needs a way to be able to light his way to unlock his door each night. So, it depends.
Right, depends on what's important to you.
Exactly.
So the next couple lights we have here are a couple of new lights from a company called Jetbeam. They were one of the original like high-end Chinese flashlight manufacturers, and it's the Jet Mu and then the Jet 1 MK. So you've got the AAA version and the AA version, and they're really similar in features. So nice aluminum bodies. You've got optics there on the front instead of reflectors, so they give a really nice, smooth, clean, even beam. They've got pocket clips on them. They've got some different outputs. A lot of nice features on it. So you can see you've got a few different outputs in there. And then if you want the additional runtime that you get with the AAA, you can get the Jet 1. You can see you've got some different outputs in there as well.
That little guy's light, ain't it?
Yeah, it's lightweight, and they come with pocket clips. You've got good attachment points on there, and twisty heads. So there's no switches on there, but that also means there's fewer things to fail. Sure. So they're super simple lights in terms of the mechanicals and the electronics. So they still have good efficiency and everything, where there's no mechanical or electronic switch.
And then like a nice focused, sort of lighting arrangement. I would say maybe 50, 60 bucks.
20 bucks, 25 bucks.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty inexpensive.
So that's good. Like when a layman looks at it and thinks it's worth double what it really is worth, then I guess they're doing their job.
Right.
Then.
And these are all reputable brands. So, you can go on Amazon and eBay and find some $6 flashlights that, for one thing, you're not going to get any service from them if there's any issues after the fact. They lie about their specs.
Right. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. So these are all reputable, high-quality brands that they have if they say they're 100 lumens, they are 100 lumens.
Sure.
So they're all honest.
And if there's a problem, they'll try to work with you.
They actually have warranty service and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's cool. So, so far I'm not doing horrible, but we're about halfway through here. We're going to move on to number 6.
All right, so the next one we have on here is a really new light from a company called Klarus. Klarus is well known for their tactical lights. In one of the other videos, we showed one of their tactical lights. And they make some really cool dual switch designs. They also make some nice EDC lights. So this is the Klarus Mi7. It's a single AA battery. And if you put a lithium ion battery in here, this little thing can do 700 lumens on max output. So I mean, it's some pretty serious output. And you've got, you know, you can see some lower outputs in there as well.
One bright light for its size.
It's lightweight, it's small. There's actually a, let me go off camera for a second. There's some other colors. They've got a, they call it red. It's more of a pinkish red. And then they have a really good looking blue as well. So you've got some color options in there. But nice and compact. You got that nice switch on there. Eric just found the strobe, so you got strobe in there as well.
It's neat. I don't know, it's lightweight. You know, I do like the texture of the grip. You know, a grippy's nice, especially when it's small and, you know, you get wet hands or something. You know, I would say a little light like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to kind of learn as I go, and I would say that because of the, you know, different outputs and the switching involved in doing that, I'd venture to say a light like that, probably at least 50 bucks.
So I forgot to look up the price of that one. That one's brand new. I think it's around 40 bucks. We'll put a subtitle in.
All right,
with
so
the actual
not
price
too bad
on there.
there. I was close. I was close. All right, so moving on to option number 7.
So the next series of lights we have in here, there's 4 different lights. This is the Olight Baton series. So this is the non-rechargeable versions of the Baton series. These are our best-selling lights. The S1 that we have in here is our #1 flashlight of everything that we sell. And they're just super cool lights. So they have some really nice features. They have magnetic tail caps. So they'll actually, you know, you've got magnets in the back there. They're really compact. They're really lightweight. They have great interfaces and serious output. So the S1 is the single CR123 version. You're at 500 lumens on max output out of this really small light. And there's variability in there as well. So a lot of people are like, 500 lumens, that's way too much if I'm shining at that kind of level.
Sure.
So it goes all the way down to a half lumen, and then you have a couple other outputs in there as well.
That's awesome.
So that's the S1. There's also the S2, which is the 18650 version. So it takes the larger lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. Then you bump up to around 1,000 lumens on max output. You still get the super low run times, and then you get the really good battery life that you get with the larger capacity battery. And then, you know, for people that don't like the lithium batteries, they don't like lithium ion, or a lot of countries, they're really hard to find. So we've got a bunch of lithium and lithium ion up here. We talked to some customers in like Norway and Sweden and Finland that they're like, hey man, a CR123 is like 20, 30 bucks here. And that's not feasible.
So they probably want a AA or AAA option.
Or at least something that'll take lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. So if they have to pay a bunch for the battery, at least they can recharge it.
Sure.
But if you're in a place, or if you want to just have the AA batteries, they also have the S1A and the S2A, so the single AA, 2 AA versions.
Perfect. And that's a nice slim light too.
Right.
It's got some nice size to it.
And you still get some serious output. So this is 550 lumens on max output. The S1A, if you use a lithium-ion battery, it can put 600 lumens out. With a regular battery, I want to say it's around 300.
Which is still pretty impressive in terms of output. I mean, for a light of that size. And I do like the A series having like slightly smaller size to it.
Right.
You know, it's almost in pen light territory in terms of like the size.
It's really slim.
I don't know if you'd really rock that in your pocket per se, but I suppose you could. You know, because I own a few of the little batons, I know that this light retails for like 40 or 50 bucks on the little guys, which is a very fairly priced, you know, light for what it is. In terms of getting up in size, I would imagine they incrementally going to have a little bit of additional cost there.
They're actually all 50 bucks.
Oh, they're all 50 bucks.
They're all $49.95.
Wow, I feel like I segued into that one.
And then the S2A actually has a rubber coating on it, so you get a really nice grip on it.
It really just comes down to preference on that.
Right, right.
Nice.
So this is the black coating one. They have 3 other colors as well. They have gray, blue, and yellow.
Okay.
And those actually glow in the dark.
Neat.
I probably should have brought one up here, but I didn't. But the other ones glow in the dark, and they're actually pretty bright, surprisingly bright.
Neat. All right, so moving on to El Numero 8.
So the next ones that we have are also part of the Baton family, but they're the rechargeable versions.
Okay.
So these also sell crazy well. So what they are is they have a magnetic base here on the bottom, and there's a dock that they sit right down in, and it all comes with it. So it comes with the dock, it comes with the cable, it comes with the battery. They sit right down in a dock that plugs in via USB. So you can put it on the dash of your car or next to your bed or, you know, next to your door or something like that, and not ever have to worry about changing out batteries.
Neat.
But you're at some really good output. So you're at 500 lumens on the S10R2, and then a little over 1,000 lumens on the S30R2.
That's a lot of output.
Yeah, it's some serious output. Really good runtime, so you have that output for a long time, and then you have the same interface, so you still get those super low outputs, the other outputs, and you got strobe in there as well. So if you like the Baton series and you don't mind bumping up slightly in size, like, you're looking at the single CR123, those are the single CR123 versions.
Sure.
So you add in some size because it has the reflector instead of the optic, and then you got the charging system, but you have built-in charging. So
the thing that I like so much about this particular light is, EDC is very much about getting into a regimen and getting into an everyday habit of doing something. If you carry something on your person every day, then the only tool that's going to be the most useful to you is one you actually have on you. So in light of that, just like you would, use your toothbrush, your electronic toothbrush, and then put it back on the charge each day, this is one of those things where if you just get into the habit of carrying it, using it, and then every day just make it a part of your routine. When you're, undressing, you're emptying all the crap out of your pockets, just put it back in the base and charge it, and you don't ever have to worry about it going dead on you.
Right.
So that's one of those things that it's a very regimented thing. Now I would imagine rechargeable and the docking station would probably add some cost. I would say something like this, probably 80 bucks, 90 bucks.
85 on the higher capacity battery, which is that one. There's a lower capacity that's 76.
Cool.
And then the smaller one is 60.
Pretty close on that.
So, but it's not too bad. You're talking about 50 bucks on the non-rechargeable version. You add in the charging system, you add in the battery, and it's only another 10 bucks. So
not bad.
It's not bad.
All right, so we're moving on to number 9.
So the next lights we have in here are the EA11 and the EC11 from Nitecore. And these are some really interesting lights because they're optimized for some lithium-ion batteries called IMRs. And IMRs are capable of outputting a really high current really safely. So most of the other flashlights we have, they take just regular lithium-ion batteries that have protection circuits. Well, the protection circuits will kick in where they're either over or under voltage or also over amperage. So if they start getting to a point where they're drawing too much power, that protection circuit kicks in, just cuts everything off. Because they're not safe. I mean, you've heard about laptops catching on fire and, all that kind of stuff.
Or like drone batteries, drones catching on fire.
It's the same kind of batteries. It's lithium-ion batteries. Well, the IMRs are really safe at really high amperages, so they don't have protection circuits built in. So what that allows is just some crazy amount of power in a compact size. So these both top out at 900 lumens on max output if you have an IMR in here.
That's wicked crazy.
Yeah. So that one I did not put a battery in, so let's use the EA11 to demonstrate. But you've got some different outputs in there. You can go into red, so it actually has a red LED like built in as well. Yeah, so you've got the red built in, and then you can see you've got the higher outputs as well. And then it'll top out both of these at 900 lumens when they have the IMR.
Wow.
And they'll still take regular batteries. So you can put alkaline, you can put, sannio-enolute, nickel metal hydride, or other lithium ions. You just don't get that 900 lumens. You just get the lower.
That's cool though that it gives you that option. And options are a great thing, especially when sometimes there's uncertainty when it comes to battery availability. You might be in a place where you're taking this flashlight somewhere else in the world other than here. You might not have the ability to recharge or whatever the case may be, or buy a battery or whatever. I would say just based on the switching and the compatibility of this light with different battery sources, I mean, I'm no expert, but I would say something like this, at least maybe 100 bucks.
They're like 60 bucks.
60, okay.
Yeah. Well, they don't have built-in charging. They don't come with batteries. Okay. So, a lot of that kind of stuff.
You could run a rechargeable, it's just it doesn't charge through the...
Right. You just have to take the battery out.
Gotcha.
And that's something we're seeing with a lot of the flashlights. We've got a few here, but a lot of the flashlights that we have new coming in, they have built-in charging. So that's definitely a big push for the industry. And that's a big push for customers. So people come in, it used to be, I want the max output, I want strobe in there. Now a big question is, does it have built-in charging?
And what's crazy is the built-in charging that you're mentioning is in some of the lesser expensive lights.
They're really,
so technology
compact.
They're integrating into some of the cheaper lights per se. All right, so all this stuff's awesome and everything. Let's roll on to the last one, number 10. Well, not the last one because there's a wild card.
But the wild card. So the last one we have here is, I showed the red on here, and I find the red super useful, especially for my kids. You got a newborn or something like that. We got the cameraman that's got some newbies. That going in and looking at them and at night, you want to be able to see them, and you don't want to disturb them. And red light is super...
You don't want to wake them up. You definitely don't want to wake them up.
No, you don't want to wake them up. And red light is really useful for that. So I really like lights that have stuff like that built in, and the SRT series from Nitecore, most of the models have red built in at least. Some of them have other colors as well. So we have the SRT-3, the SRT-5, there's also the 6 and 7, which are a little bit larger models. But what they are is they have a magnetic ring that rotates around. So you've got the rear switch. I know you're a fan of rear switches. So you've got that to turn it on, and then the magnetic ring will adjust your output, and then you also have some colors in there. So you have red, you have blue, you have a dubious legality flashing mode in there. I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
police.
You don't do that in public. And then you have some other flashing modes as well. But the ring is cool because it's super simple. You know, some of these lights, the interfaces get kind of complicated. We have a lot of people come in like, hey, my elderly dad or my elderly grandpa is not very electronically inclined. We want something really simple. You're like, hey, this turns it on, this changes the modes, that's it, you know?
I like simple. It has to be Neanderthal dumb for me. I have to keep it simple.
And then you still have all the options in there. So you still have a bunch of different stuff in there. You've got the flashing modes, you've got the colors.
It's a simple twist of the ring.
It's just a simple twist, so it's easy to figure out. So the SRT-3 is the CR123 version. So it'll take a CR123 or an RCR123, which is the lithium-ion version.
Handy.
And the SRT-5 is the 18650 version. So it'll take an 18650 or two CR123s. Other than that, they're pretty much the same light. You get a little bit hhigher output on the SRT-5.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I dig this light.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to venture to say, I'm going to be brave here. 60 bucks.
They're around 100 bucks. When you start getting
in really? So I got that wrong. So I was actually kind of flip-flop those two there.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start adding in the ring and the colors and stuff like that, the way they have the ring technology set up, it's, you know, there's some intricacy in there. Yeah.
We know, and I guess it's wishful thinking. It's like, here I am thinking like, please be 60, please be 60. Yeah, a little bit cheaper, but that's a really cool light. I have to say, out of all of these, I am kind of a rear switch sort of guy. That is a really kick butt little light right there. I like it. So every top 10 video tends to have some sort of a wild card. So what's our wild card for this video?
So we have something that's a limited edition, but we have quite a few of these. It is the Jetbeam TCE-1. So collectors, people looking for something different. You know, we talked about it in the knife video. We had the knife for the guy who already has a whole bunch of knives.
Yeah.
So this is the flashlight for somebody who already has a bunch of flashlights. And just looking for something cool and just unique and really cool machining and really cool materials on it. So it's a solid titanium body. Takes a single CR123 or the RCR123 or what's called an 18350. So it's the larger diameter of the 18650, but the shorter length of the CR123. So you can see it's kind of a fat tube down in there. But it's a side switch.
Fine.
Yeah, but it's a side switch. So you just tap the switch to turn it on, or press and hold to turn it on, and then tap to cycle through your different outputs.
Neat.
Something neat and interesting and neat materials.
And I don't really do neat and interesting too well in terms of guessing on price, but I would imagine something like this, because it is kind of unique and interesting like that. And you mentioned, like, it says limited edition. Ooh.
Yep.
So I'd imagine, oh, maybe 125 bucks, 100 bucks?
240 full retail.
Whoa, yeah. Let me just hand that back. I was way off on that one.
Titanium's expensive, man.
Okay, so that's the big thing. Just like we talked about different knives and everything in some of the previous videos, just like anything else, I mean, material cost is going to be a big factor in why some of those things are going to cost an additional amount. I mean,
and machining.
Yeah. I would imagine that titanium is probably difficult to machine.
It's difficult to machine.
It's hard on tooling.
The tooling's expensive.
Yep, that makes sense. So I guess when it comes to getting something unique and odd and interesting, especially when you're talking about this little guy right here, I mean, I can't imagine, at least from my perspective, a guy going like, oh, I'm a flashlight collector, but I would venture to say you would probably be able to tell me this.
Everything.
People collect everything.
Everything.
So there's the same guy that would buy some unique and crazy rifle, wouldn't know anybody like that. That would probably go, hey, yeah, I want this crazy flashlight that's unique and interesting and everything like that. Or I want this knife that they only made 500 of, or maybe even less. Like maybe there's a knife that they only made 10 or 20 of, and you're scrambling to be that guy that has it in his collection, you know. So,
or the customs they only make one of.
Exactly. So that's really cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. hopefully this was entertaining and you're able to glean some information about some EDC lights. EDC as a subject matter has been a very, very popular subject over the years, but you know, it seems like when there's a real run on EDC handguns, we tend to run into a lot of this type of stuff. It seems like people really want to match out a nice light and knife or other gadgets to go along with their favorite, firearm. You know, a lot of times they'll get an interesting holster. They'll get into a regimen of how they carry their gun on a daily basis. But we're finding also that, you know, this EDC stuff in terms of flashlights, knives, gadgets, multi-tools, even things like watches and apparel, things like that, we're finding that just a lot of people just really want to round that out and kind of find that fine medium there for them. So hopefully you guys gleaned some information from this video. If you want more technical specs on any of these lights in this video, you know, check the description box below, but also check out Going Prepared. Is actually Going Gear's YouTube channel. If you go on there and check out Going Prepared, you'll see Marshall on there, and he gives a lot of technical specs on a ton of different products. So if it's something you're ever curious to see, he's got a lot of stuff that goes into more detail than what we went through in this particular video. Also, I would encourage you guys to check out some of the other videos that I've made with Marshall up here at Going Gear. We did one where we did this exact same treatment, but with EDC knives. And then we also have a series that we do that involves 5 guns. And in the 5 gun series, we actually selected 5 guns, but that also have a knife and flashlight combination that go with them as well. So check those out if you haven't seen them already. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And Marshall, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of effort to put this kind of stuff together and to kind of figure on, how best to approach this. So if you guys like these video concepts, let me know. We will definitely do more of them. Is there something that we left out? Did we leave out your favorite flashlight? Tell us, if we did, and tell us why. We might be able to revisit this at a later date with some different lights. So let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.
I'm sure people are going to ask for tactical next.
That's fine. Well, maybe we'll do tactical.
Tactical next.
All right. Stay tuned, guys. See you.